Well, good to get the first scrimmage behind us. See guys go out there in a competitive situation, see who could really kind of step their game up. Obviously, the guys that have a little more experience, have some playing time behind them, a little more confidence in what they're doing, how to do it, why it's important to do it that way, usually have a better opportunity to be successful. I think the first defense probably played pretty well after they got settled down. I was really pleased with the way the first offense executed. They moved the ball effectively. We went down and missed a field goal the first drive, and the second time we went down and scored a touchdown. As you know, the way we do our scrimmages here, there's a lot of situation stuff after we do about 25 or 30 plays of actually, moving the field and playing like it's a game. So we get some third down, red area, goal line coming out, some situations that typically don't come up that you'd like to be able to practice. Did a lot of 2-minute situations today, but Julio had some big plays out there. I thought we ran the ball, even though statistically it probably won't look like any runner was outstanding. We had a lot of efficiency in what we did running the ball, which I think was a good sign. I think the biggest thing from this scrimmage that I would take from it is our first two units executed fairly well in what they did. After that, we did not have the consistency in performance and ability to execute, sustain, and play the way that we want to play as a football team. One guy makes a mistake, you end up getting sacked. One guy doesn't cover the right guy, they make a first down. So throughout the team, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, we need more players to play with more consistency and be able to play winning football, not only on offense and defense, but also on special teams, so that some of the guys that are starters won't have to play as much on special teams. From a quarterback standpoint, Greg McElroy clearly showed poise, did a nice job out there today, moved the team effectively. The defense was pretty good in the third down deal. I don't think they allowed too many third downs in that situation. But for the most part, Greg really did a good job in the red zone, moved the field, all those types of things, and I was really pleased with him. I thought Star Jackson did a decent job today, showed some command and leadership in what he was doing. Thomas Dara did okay. AJ did okay. But AJ's a younger guy, and he's playing with younger players. So it's probably a little bit more difficult for him to be able to execute because of the players that he's playing with and against in terms of developing timing. So we couldn't, he did get some snaps. All the quarterbacks got some snaps with the twos, just so that we would be able to evaluate them, but AJ probably got the fewest since he's the newest guy here. I was pleased with the specialist. Lee kicked the ball really well. I think he missed 2 field goals, but he made the rest of his kicks, and both of them were very close and from decent distance. So, but we made some plays. There was a lot of good hitting. I thought the effort was good. I thought our ability to sustain and execute was good, especially with the older, more experienced players. I think the most important thing is how these young guys develop from this week to next week. There's a lot of anxiety going out there for the first time today, but how they develop between this week and next week will determine a lot how much they'll be able to contribute to this year's team. We don't have a starting offensive line. We don't have any starters in the offensive line, not one. So we have 5 spots that are up. You keep asking about the one. We don't have any. We don't have a depth chart. So how could we be worrying about that one spot? Barrett Jones played there today. He's been doing the best job today to this point, but we got a lot of competition at a lot of positions. And I don't know what 5 guys are going to end up playing in the offensive line. I really don't. I don't. So you can speculate any way you want, but I really don't know. I'm telling you the god-awful truth. I don't really know. Well, I was pleased with the way the first offense moved the ball. I was pleased with the way we moved the ball in all the move-the-field situations. We didn't do as good a job in third down. We did a good job in the red area. We did a good job on the goal line. So I was pleased in most situations with what we did offensively, which the offensive line certainly contributes to a large degree to that success. Yeah.
Is that a good thing that you have a lot of guys still competing for spots, or is it a bad thing that you haven't clearly identified spots?
Well, I think there's good and bad in it. I think there's probably less positions on defense where we have more returners and more experience, even though we still have competition because we have some good young players who are pushing the older players. But we have stability to start with. I think that the more experience you have, the more stability you have. And that's, I think, what I'm talking about today, that the younger players, we need some younger players to establish that kind of stability. So whether they become starters or whether they're backups, we feel like they could go in the game and play winning football. So there's good and bad, I guess, in both of those situations. It creates a lot of opportunity to have competition, but I think any coach would tell you you'd rather have experience anytime that you could have it relative to how that resource of information contributes to consistency. Right. Well, to this point, we really have just run our offense and run our defense, and we're really not planning that much. We're trying to just get reps and turns, and our installation has been pretty consistent. So we're really not featuring personnel to this point. I think this next week, after we evaluate this scrimmage, we will start doing that and probably start planning. But Marquise Mays has consistently made plays this camp. Darius Hanks has consistently made plays in this camp. I think Earl Alexander has made some plays in this camp. So, and we have some young guys, I think, that may be able to make some plays. Kevin Norwood has probably showed the most consistency as the young guys, and I think that, not that he's any better than the rest of them, he just has a little more maturity and is able to handle the circumstance that he's in, trying to learn and managing two-a-days and the heat and everything else. He's showing the most consistency probably to this point. Well, I think we are probably getting a little more pressure. I think we're able to utilize some of our players a little better that we have that can rush. That last year we whether it was experience or too many position multiples, we weren't able to do. We've been able to do that this spring. That's helped us to some degree. And I don't want to overstate the importance of sacks, because I think that's what everybody views pressure as. Affecting the quarterback, whether you bat the ball, push the pocket so the guy can't step up and throw it down the middle, because we're really trying to defend the middle of the field and make him throw it sideways. All those things, to me, are just as important as sacks. And we have 9 goals on defense of things that we want to accomplish, and none of them say anything about sacks. Passing efficiency and affecting the quarterback is one, but sacks are not the only way you affect the quarterback. Not allowing him to throw the ball on time, making him move in the pocket, not letting him step up in the pocket, getting close to him and batting balls, all those things affect the quarterback. Hitting him right when he throws it. And I think we did that okay last year. I didn't think we did a very good job of finishing, and I didn't think we had a dominant pass rusher that can create problems for the offense. But I think we're better in those areas right now. Not really. I think you're always, when you have young players and you know they have a lot of ability, and you really want to see them go out there and do well. And several guys were able to do that today, and other guys had a little more anxiety, and probably that affected their ability to go out there and play as well as they're capable of. But I think the good news is they'll learn from that, they'll grow from that. And then one of the biggest things that these young guys have to learn how to do, and I actually did it today in the meeting, is I wrote mistake on this side and lesson on this side, like this. See this? And I said, when you make a mistake, there's a lesson. And then what do we do with this when it's done, as soon as that play's over? See this part right here? This is the only thing that has any value, is the lesson, right, of what you learn and how you grow. So I'm a little surprised that some of the guys were able to do as well as they did, so that's a good thing. But this is the most important thing, that they take where they are right now, every player on our team, especially the young players that don't have experience, and they can learn from the mistakes that they made and have valuable lessons that help their development as football players. And I think that's what will benefit our team the most, and that's the way they'll develop the best and be able to get to where they can play winning football on a consistent basis for us. And that's sort of a process that a lot of young people haven't had to go through when they've been better than everybody else that they've played against. So, but I'm pleased with the progress that we're making with them, and I know that we have a few out there that are very capable of making a contribution this year. All right? I can't really say. I mean, we'll evaluate the film, and I think some of the guys will play a lot better next week than they did this week. And I think we'll probably put them in better positions to play better next week than they did this week, if that makes any sense. You know, Trent Richardson is really a good running back, but he didn't really play with the first team today. I'm sure if he did, he would have played better. A.J. McCarron has shown some potential as a young quarterback. If we'd have played him with the best receivers we have, he'd have probably had a little better chance to show some efficiency and effectiveness. So when we say we put them in a better position to have success, but at the same time, they have to earn it too. They have to earn the right to be able to do that as well. And that's where the consistency and performance part comes. Well, we've had 11, 12 practices. We haven't practiced every day in pads. We never practiced twice in a row in pads. But it's physical, and we work hard, and we pride ourselves in the toughness that our team has, and that's what we're trying to develop with our team. And I've been pleased with the way we've sustained, and it has not been comfortable for the most part. So that takes a lot of mental toughness to be able to sustain in those circumstances, in those situations. But I think that one of the things that I would like to see more of on our team is our team has affirmations that they've talked about that are things they want to accomplish. And it doesn't come down to how many games we're going to win, right? But things that they want to do. Be a physical team, dominate the other team, not be a team that anybody wants to play with, be accountable, be disciplined, be able to finish. A lot of those types of things. But the one thing I would like to see is I would say I'm pretty pleased with the way our individuals kind of manage their business. And we have more guys that make good choices and decisions about doing the right thing. But you can affect other people at the same time to do the same things. And that's something that we all need to do. I mean, I'm sure all of us, including me, have a friend someplace or somebody that we could affect in a positive way that we know is not doing the right thing. And we choose not to do it because we don't want the confrontation. But yet, it would be helpful to that person if we could get them to change. And I'm not just talking about as football players now. I'm talking about as people, as students, and as players. And there's been many players that have had lots of problems in the past. In fact, Trevor's here, and he showed, Michael Irvin getting inducted into the Hall of Fame and his speech into the Hall of Fame. You ought to look at it sometime. It's interesting. It should be the greatest day of the guy's life. And he sits there and cries and talks about his kids having somebody that was a better parent for them, a better father to them, a better role model to them because of all the bad things and choices that he made that affected his legacy as a player. But is there anybody else on the Dallas Cowboy team that could have helped him? And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about players being responsible for their own self-determination, but also being responsible to the team so that we have sort of a consciousness that everybody is helping everybody do the right things. And I think that's necessary to be successful in any organization. And, it's a collective responsibility to one another. And I would, like to see our guys sort of do that. I think that would make us a better team. I'm not saying they're not doing it. It's not natural to do. It's something that good teams have, and that's something that I like to see continue to develop on our team. They're getting shuffled around. We'll be able to make a decision, to see how they progress. A couple of those guys are confused. A couple of them are very good football players. They don't understand things exactly how to fit, but they're going to be good players. And it'll be interesting to see how they actually played today. Who was able to sort of play a little better today, take it to the field, so to speak, when the coach wasn't out there behind them telling them what to do. But I think all those guys have some ability, and I think they all can be contributors. And I think it's important that they do. And I think it's important that they develop as special teams players too, so that because they're good football players and they are the body types that you need, linebackers, running backs, people like that, safeties, those are the kind of guys that can be really good special teams players.